Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check today's video out because guys, I have a new way for y'all to fish a chatterbait or a bladed jig. We are getting into the middle, the prime time for bladed jig fishing. I've been catching them on it over the last couple weeks. So I've got one different technique I'm going to show with you guys. You probably never fished it like this, but it works really good under a certain set of circumstances or conditions. We're going to get into that, what that is today in the video, and I think it's going to add up to some really nice fish for you guys over the next month. I'm also, guys, a couple quick housekeeping tips here. Just want to invite everybody to please hit that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling. We're really pushing hard to get to 150,000 subscribers, and with your help, we can probably do that over the next few months. And also, guys, please check out the Get Ready for Spring sale on my Solarbat sunglasses right now. You can get them at 30% off from Solarbat. Also, you can get 30% off on prescription lenses too. So I'll put the link in the description for that. And much appreciated you guys checking that out. Okay, last week, I finally started catching a bunch of fish on the chatterbait. We're getting into that time frame. Even though the water's cool right now, once you get into March, guys, this is chatterbait time. Chatterbait time, in my opinion, is March, April, and May are the three best months to fish one. You hear a lot about it on YouTube. Probably one of the most popular lure categories out there. But I got one technique I want to show you. One way to fish it that probably you haven't ever done before. We're going to get into that in today's video. So first of all, let's talk about the colors and everything I like to fish. Then I'm going to talk about, the new way to fish it. You've never done it. Two different ones I use. This is that Earth Shaker bladed jig that I use quite a bit. This is not available at Tackle Warehouse, but I'll put that Earth Shaker link in the description. And here's the jackhammer. I'll put my jackhammer link in the Tackle Warehouse description if you guys want to pick up some. But, both of them are just really, really good. And most of the time, I either use this Zoom swim bait on it, this Zoom rib swim bait, or the new Zoom swimmer trailer right here. These are my two favorite trailers. Now, colors, one of the things that colors, they seem to cause people a lot of problems as far as chatterbait colors. I can give you a simple solution for that, guys. If you're fishing water visibility that is less than, say, 2.5 foot in visibility, use some type of a shad pattern. White chartreuse, white, something like that, something that resembles a shad. If you have over 2.5 foot of visibility, use a crawdad pattern, some type of brown and orange, green pumpkin, something that looks like a crawdad. Those are my two favorite. Also, the crawdad pattern will actually work better on the brighter sunny days, and on a cloudy day, if it's raining, you'll find out you'll catch more on the shad, but that's the two that I use there. Okay, now, guys, here's the little tip that I'm going to give you guys here that as far as you've never fished it like this. Try dead sticking a chatterbait. Dead stick, it's sort of the dead stick pump technique that I'm talking about. Now, most people, when they throw a chatterbait, they just throw it out there, just crank it like that, just reel it in, steady. Try this right here, specifically in March and April, if you're fishing water depth that is like, greater than, say, 4 or 5 feet. If you're fishing shallow, like around a target, just straight retrieves better. But if you're fishing a little bit deeper, like you're fishing it down a steeper bank or something like that, that's how I was catching them at Table Rock this past week, as I was throwing it out there and I was dead sticking on the bottom and I was pumping it like that. We'll get into that here in a second. Or over grass bed. So here's the technique. Throw it out there. Let it go to the bottom. Just count it. I usually throw it out there in the 4 to 5 foot of water. Let it go to the bottom. Once it hits the bottom, pump it off the bottom about probably 2 feet. Go pump it off like that and let it fall back down. And then once it falls back down, just let it sit there. Let it sit there for like 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds if you can stand it, and then hop it off the bottom again. Now, there's two different ways that I found out that they're going to bite this thing. Number one is when you throw it out there and it hits the bottom and you pump it off the bottom, the vibration and the water displacement of that pulls bass in from a long distance. If there's a bass 30 or 40 foot away and you throw that chatterbait and it hits the bottom and you pump it off the bottom, from 30 foot away, a bass will make a beeline over to that thing. And when they make a beeline over to that thing is sitting still on the bottom like this. It's just sitting there. Sometimes I've had them just pick it up off the bottom when it's not moving, but they're down there, they're studying that thing. And when you pump it that second time off the bottom, as you pump it up like that, that's when they get it. You'll pump it, and it's like at the top of the retrieve, you'll just have it. You'll set the hook on there like that. Sometimes they'll hit it on the fall back down there, But there's something about it, I don't know what it was or what it is about that hesitation, that dead sticking it on that first hop, or excuse me, it'd be the second hop because you hop it as soon as it hits the bottom. Dead sticking it on that second hop triggers a ton of strikes. Now, this was like a lot of stuff in fishing. This came about by accident. I was picking a backlash out one time, and I had one just swim out with my chatterbait when it was sitting on the bottom. That's how you learn things a lot of times, is just by accident. That's what happened with this one. But anyway, I have found when you're fishing a little bit deeper, and especially if you're fishing over grass, really big deal in grass, that dead stick and pumping technique will get a bite a lot of times when something else won't. Now, I'm not saying it's a foolproof deal, it's going to work every time, but it's something worth to try. Here's the best way to do it. If you're catching a few fish on a chatterbait, but you're not catching many on it, just try this. Try it in an area where you know there's some fish there and you know they're biting a chatterbait a little bit. Try that dead stick and pump and retrieve, and you just see what happens with it. It's almost like fishing a jig. I mean, I do the same thing with the jig. I'll throw a jig out there a lot of times and just dead stick it, then hop it a little bit. So you're taking advantage of getting the fish's attention, and by a reaction strike, about a reflex strike. Because if you're in a really good area, let's say for example you pull up to a secondary point in a creek, there are like next to no secondary points on almost any creek that does not have a few bass on it. Bass, they just live there. That's where they live. It's been my theory that when you're fishing like that most every cast you have a fish looking at your bait. If you don't have a fish looking at your bait, you have the attention of that fish. That fish it can come in within like 4 or 5 foot of that bait and get close to it, of differing degrees based upon their mood and personality. But just a lot of times that dead sticking, we all know how effective it is with the plastic worm sometimes. It just triggers them and it works. So just another little thing to add to your arsenal. Like I said, it's, you got to have a big grab bag worth of secrets, because you never know when the situation comes up when they want that type of thing. And and that's another thing about it, guys. Don't be afraid to experiment, because any new technique or new ideas or something that comes about is usually just from imagination, creativity, and experimentation. So never get to the point where you don't experiment or you're not creative, because that is the key to ingenuity, and that's the key to finding out different techniques. So anyway, guys, just give it a try. It's hopefully it'll work for you guys. It works for me in the really good conditions. I caught some last week doing it, and just wanted to pass that along to you guys and hope it helps out. We'll see y'all.